guys, here we go. If you are looking at 8.2, a couple of problems that they give you, they want you to create an equation given certain amounts of information. Now, what I want to go over here real quick is these are vocabulary words, and the vocabulary words have certain meanings. So, first thing you always want to do is you want to graph these things out. So, I take a graph here, and I get the information that they have. So, I'm going to make this one red since I'll make this one red. So the focus is at 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the focus is right here at 5 and 6. Now, we also have known with the directives. So now, that is at x equals -2. So if I go to -2, and I draw this thing with the dotted line, that's x equals -2. Now, when it comes to parabolas, and you're talking about your vocabulary, the difference between the focus and the directrix is always the same distance to the graph of the line. So if I was to draw this parabola has to be in between these two, like that, let's say. And no matter what, if I go out here from the focus to the line, and I go there, these two have to be the same distance. That's the whole concept of a parabola. Now, let's just look at it between here. If this is the focus, and the focus is always in the middle of the parabola. So if we're looking at a parabola, the focus is always right here. It's above, and it's got a certain distance. And that distance is always the same to the directrix. So now if we look at this, we know that my axis of symmetry is right along this line. So now I've got an axis of symmetry, and I know the distance between here and here is a total of 7, right? -2, so there's 2 here plus 5 more gives me 7. But remember, this line here, the dotted directrix, and the focus have to be the same exact distance away from the parabola. So the same exact distance would be halfway here. So if I look at this, I'm going to say, okay, well, half of 7 is 3.5. So I'm going to take 7 divided by 2, and I'm going to get 3.5. So that means that I've got 3.5 to here, and I've got 3.5 to there. So that means my vertex is right here. I'm not worried about these scales right now. It's right here. It's 3.5 away from the focus. Well, 3.5 away from the focus is 1.5. So I took 3.5 and I subtracted it from 5. That means my h is going to be equal to 1.5. Because that's where my vertex is. The vertex is always halfway in between the directrix and the focus. So now I've got my h, which is 1.5. This is always k right here. So I've got k. So now I've got my h and my k. So now all I need to do is I need to find, if I need my equation, and we know it's this way, so it's x equals a times y minus k squared plus h. I've got my h, I've got my k, so I I've got y minus 6 squared plus h is 1.5. So I just got to figure out what a is. Well, if you go back to your vocab and the key concepts of the chapter, we know that is equal to directrix is equal to h minus 1 over 4a. Well, what's h? H is 1.5. Directrix is at 2. So we've got 1.5 minus 1 over 4a. So I subtract this over, I get negative 3.5 is 1 over 4a. 4a times negative 4, this is a negative, I'll just leave it there. 4a times 3.5 is 14. Negative 14a equals negative 1. A equals negative 1/14. So that means, not negative, sorry, negative divided by negative is a positive. So now I know that my a is 1/14. And my graph now looks something like that. Okay? So these are just using your vocabulary with the formulas that go with them and then coming up with the standard form. Hopefully that'll help you out, and we'll talk to you soon.